All right, I'm here for episode 143 of the 4Ever2Wheels podcast. I've got Sam Ray on.
Hey guys.
I'm super, yeah, I'm super excited you're on.
So happy to be here.
Yeah, so it's funny because the you and I met, and there's going to be guests on that I don't meet, but you and I met a few years ago at Why We Ride to the Quail, and it was such an intrigue. Like your story was so intriguing to me at that point. At that point, it was really like heartfelt, like I was like, oh, this is so sweet, and, but at the same time, it was like, it was really a tale of motorcycling, and like of this community. Do you want to share maybe just a little bit about how you got into bikes, like how you grew up and that sort of thing?
Right. Yeah, it's been a heartfelt journey.
Yeah.
And I just feel so lucky in light of loss.
Yeah.
That, my father rode when I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of hung up riding long before my twin sister and I were a thought. He just had this feeling like I gotta stop riding if I get on one more time. I haven't had that moment of
Sure.
Two riders, you're gonna not if but when.
Yeah.
He hung it up, and I think when I was like about 13, he used to talk with Brian Carroll a bunch about Harley-Davidsons and riding. Brian Carroll, they were coworkers. They were in post-production on Titanic together.
Okay. Cool.
And Brian Carroll got him a little Harley-Davidson, toy that fired up and like went, vroom, ride to live to ride, with like potato. And I would play with it, but he just was his heart was so in it, and he talked about it so much. One day my mom gave him a newspaper cutout at the dinner table and shoved it across the table and said, "That's your bike. Go get it. Stop talking about it. Do it."
Wow. Great wife.
Yeah. But yeah. She was like, she took action, and although it was dangerous, she was like, live your life, have fun,
Yeah. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
But I was so excited to ride with him. And I did not like being a passenger.
No.
At all.
Why?
No.
What didn't you like about it?
I felt like I was going to fall off the back of that Dyna.
Okay. Yeah.
I held on to him, and I was short. My dad was 6'6", so like we get onto the highway, and I'm nervous, and I'm like wanting to love it because I'm a thrill seeker. I love roller coasters. I love going fast. I just never experienced anything like that.
Yeah.
So I was holding on to him so tight. I was digging my helmet into the back of his shoulders, riding. And I just feel something smacking my helmet. I'm like, what's happening? And it's trying to smack me off of like digging into his back. And I was like, not really for me. Like maybe when I'm older, I don't know. Flashback a couple years forward, my sister got her license living in the Bay Area. Her boyfriend rode, so she got inspired to ride her own. And dad was riding to the Quail at the time with Why We Ride. The first few years, he was always there. And
because him and Brian were friends. So Brian Carroll is the producer and director of Why We Ride.
Why We Ride.
Yeah, for people who don't know. And if you haven't seen Why We Ride, you definitely should go see it.
Yeah, absolutely. So inspiring. And I watched it so many times and was like, I think that will be in my cards in the future. Don't know how or when, but
yeah.
My dad went the first 2 years. I always know he was so excited. He did a bunch of charity rides throughout the year and met up with friends on weekends. And
he was just riding from the time you were 13. He was like, as soon as he got that bike, he was riding, and he was riding that Dyna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, he was 6'6" on a Dyna, a woman's bike, but he loved it.
Yeah.
I say the F-bomb.
You can say whatever you want. Yeah.
Loved it. And And so, I mean, he unfortunately, fast forward a couple of years, we lost him.
Yeah.
Quickly, unexpectedly. I was living in Israel. He came to see me, and he fell really ill and sick with a staph infection. It was a series of unfortunate events. And when I got home, his bike had just been delivered from Burbank Moto. It was all serviced, and tires were swapped out and like ready to go to the Quail in 3 weeks.
Sure. And what year was that?
That was in, was that 2017, 3 years ago?
17. Yeah. Okay.
I think 2017. And so I remember grabbing the Harley keys because anytime he was out of town, I knew how to fire up the bike, make sure it was in neutral, like get it running, pull the choke out, whatever, the whole deal. So I went to fire it up and I just had this feeling. I was like, I want to keep the bike running.
Yeah.
And I sat on the bike and I hugged the hog.
Yeah.
I had just had this feeling. And after I let the bike run for a while, I went inside and I picked up the phone and I called Brian. He had already heard the news and I said, I have to go and understand why he looked forward to this so much. Like, where did he find joy in his life and why did he look forward to this?
Yeah.
I'd only heard stories. I'd only seen the documentary. I'd only seen photos. And and so I went as a passenger. I was in a slingshot.
Yeah, you were.
And then I wanted to get out of the slingshot after a while. I wanted to be on a bike.
Yeah. Who'd you ride? Who did you end up riding? Who were you in the slingshot with? You were in
Mark Gammo.
That's right. Yeah, from the leather dude.
I didn't know what Brian meant when he said, "You're riding a slingshot." I was like, that sounds so funny. What's a slingshot?
You're like, it's basically a car. It's a go-kart.
A glorified go-kart. It's fun, but I felt bad for every motorcyclist behind it. It was like weird in this formation here. Like, yeah. But anyways, I had so much fun. I was with, was it Don Sweeto I rode as a passenger with that year?
Okay, cool.
That was awesome. That night.
And were you not scared? Did it feel different than when you were 13?
Absolutely. For the first time, I was just fully open to it and fully immersed in it and wanting to receive everything I could from it. And obviously I was thinking about my dad, but I wasn't sad. I felt his presence kid you not, I felt his presence for the first time rather than his absence.
Wow.
In almost a month.
Yeah. And it had only been a month at that point.
I felt that in the ride in so many moments, just looking at all the lineups of bikes in front of us, all the bikes behind us in the side mirror, and just there was something about that feeling. Yeah. And
you're making me miss that ride so much right now. It was supposed to happen last week?
Yeah. For people with great people and for such a good cause. And I was so lucky that was really my reintroduction into what?
Oh yeah.
And the quail event alone is unlike any other motorcycle show I've been to after that.
Oh yeah.
Like, I knew I was being spoiled by seeing those collections and builds, and just it's so curated. It's so wonderful. Every year I go back, I learn so much more, know so much more, and know so much. Yeah. There's so much growth.
Yeah.
In such a good way.
It's really fun. And for the people that don't know, so the Why We Ride to the Quail happens every May, and Brian Carroll and James Walker organize it every year. It's this year would have been the 6th year, I believe. And they ride from Moore Park, California, up the coast. Kind of a different ride every year, kind of depending on the ride. I've been on it every year except for the first year. And everybody stays in the same hotels. Everything is taken care of. Like you just pay your money, you get your hotels, and then everything else is taken care of. And it is so well managed. It is the best. I've been to hundreds of motorcycle events, rides, etc. I've never been on one that's as well managed and as well run as the one that Brian and his family do. And it's great. It's for the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation. This year they got their own charity, and so they're going to be looking into donating to other charity. I mean, it's and the people on it are so great. Inspirational stories, great riders. Like, there's always, I've managed a lot of rides over the years as well. And there's always like some guy who's like, feels like he's got to do wheelies and burnouts and like whatever. And there's none of that, right?
No,
like
there's no ego. It's just
no egos at all. It's just
family.
Like,
it's so comfortable.
Yeah. Everybody's just having a good time.
Yeah. Everybody on a plethora of different styles of bikes. And
so many different,
all
right?
over the world even. Like, it's so cool. I got so spoiled. They take your luggage for you, so you don't have to schlep your luggage and stuff.
Yep.
Like, they have barbecues, food, drinks, happy hour. Like,
great people, great conversations. Like, anybody to talk to.
Yeah, everybody. We all have the same, the common denominator, and it's two
Yeah.
wheels, and like just welcomed in with open arms. And
Yeah.
everybody can just be and let be, even if you want to sit there and not say anything.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I
For
love
sure.
it. I love it. That's why I love the community. And I definitely got like the epitome of that with this group.
Yeah.
So thank you, Dad, for
Yeah.
talking about it so much and looking forward to it. That night on the first ride as a passenger with you with that group, I was brought onto the podium to announce what would be called the Steve Moore Spirit of the Ride Award, which is like
Yeah.
such an honor. And
Which
so
is your dad, for people who don't know.
Moore is my father. I'm Samantha.
Yes.
Moore. Samantha
Yeah.
Ray. Well,
Yeah.
Sam Ray. But I got up there and I didn't have this in my mind before, but I essentially expressed that I never had to ask my dad why he rode, what were his reasons.
Yeah.
And that in those like 2 days riding with this group that I could think of a few. And then I promised everybody in that banquet room that I would be back no matter what next year on my own two wheels.
Yeah.
And I did that.
I know. I remember you saying that, and I was kind of like,
oh, well, let's see.
yeah, kind of.
I mean, oh my God, am I going to do this? And as soon as I got back, I was looking into classes. I signed up. I tried to get some of the other women that were passengers to go with me and like get their own license too. But I did it. I did the dang thing, and I showed up on a Triumph the next year on my first bike. I wasn't ready to take the reins on the Harley. I was a new rider. I knew I would maybe damage some paint potentially, and I did that on the Triumph, so I got that out of the way. But served its purpose. I went down in a sand pit. It was a dirt road. It was a sand pit.
Yeah.
With new street tires. It was awesome.
Yeah. Everybody's got to do it. I mean, so at least you took the course.
I did.
That's my thing. Like my friend just threw me the keys. He was in the Army Reserves. He had to go to Panama or something for his like summer, and he was like, here, you can just have the keys to my bike, and got on it, started it, rode it right into the bushes. I mean, had no idea what I was doing.
I've seen a lot of videos like that.
Oh yeah, just no, and he's like, well, and I laughed, and oh yeah, the whole thing. And I figured it out, but yeah.
You do. It's like riding a bicycle.
It is.
You gotta tell yourself if you're interested in doing it. It's not that intimidating. If so many people do it, you can do it too.
It's true. But I will caution people. I've had so many people who have later in life have decided to take up motorcycling, and I've decided to like kind of mentor them in some way. And I'm just like, be careful.
Absolutely.
Like, you gotta be careful. Like people are not looking for you. And I think that's why one of those courses is so helpful. Right.
Of course. The first word of advice that has resonated. It was the first word of advice that a great course instructor said. She said, you are invisible. Two things. You're invisible and everybody wants to kill you. So ride accordingly. And I was like, wait, what? She's like, no, you're invisible. But even though you're invisible, act as though everybody wants to kill you. Like ride a little paranoid and mind. And I do.
Yep.
And I do. It just keeps you really aware.
Yeah.
So many friends and family members that are like, you should be careful with the bike. I was like, I'm more than a mindful, trust me.
Yeah.
When I'm on the bike, I don't think so much about other things, but like when I'm on the bike, I'm thinking about that moment being so present.
Exactly. And I think that's part of it too, right? Is that it's that like you're there at that moment right then.
I want to ride. The COVID stuff has really got me like,
I know.
When it's safe to do so.
Yes, agreed. So that picture that you have behind you is actually from the first night stop at Pismo Beach. So that is the overlook that we get to see from the first night at the barbecue, which is pretty amazing.
Sometimes it's foggy. Can't promise the sun, but
that's true.
Got really lucky the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about your favorite ride. I mean, you've put on some miles, right? Since then.
Not enough. always want to do more.
How many miles do you think you put on last year? Don't know.
I didn't count.
No. Good.
Triumph doesn't even have like a speedometer or a tack on it, so I don't
Nice.
know. I don't ride. It's not about that for me.
Yeah.
Never enough.
Yeah.
Definitely not enough this year. It's killing me inside.
Sure.
And I can hop on a bike and go. It's 110 out today, but I have a cooling vest. Like I could go. There's just more factors with COVID, so it's sad.
Sure.
Still on the fence about Sturgis. I don't know. Couple thousand, 510. Not a lot, but
Yeah.
I'm not a daily rider. I
Yeah.
had the honor of riding with my friends who invited me to go to it was the Lolita's all women's blacktop ramble camp out in Utah. So I got to cross the state lines finally. It felt so good. Every time it's like, welcome to, like Arizona or Utah or Nevada, I'm like, while I'm riding.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Yeah, I know some Litas from here in Fort Collins that went to that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful state, Utah.
Yeah.
Want to go discover more states and ride even further. And
For sure.
I got all my gear. I'm ready.
Yeah. Bike's ready. And so you inherited your dad's Harley. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. So by the second year where I rode to the Quail, which was the 5th year last year, I was able to take the Dyna.
Yeah.
I had started riding it about a month before I ride up to the Quail. Much different from the Triumph, I have to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Often takes wide turns. Like I was still kind of learning.
Yeah.
Like some challenging twisties and roads. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's no joke. That ride is no joke. It's not, it's
not for the
yeah, it's something. It's fun.
I'm glad I could keep up. You learn from the best. There's so many good riders in that group. It was just monkey see, monkey do. I've got this.
Yeah. And I'm the idiot with a camera, like taking people's pictures, like going by. My wife's on the back. Yeah.
Like everyone's
having a good time. Yeah.
But yeah, so it was so cool because on the 5th year, it was important to me because a lot of the route that we revisited were from the previous years and apparently the year that my dad rode. A lot of Highway 1 and Pacific Coast Highway.
Yeah.
Was where that bike was before. And
connecting with it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I really enjoyed my first year though. And you ask what my favorite ride is.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to choose. Like, I'm sure that's the feedback from everyone. I don't know. Unless you have just like one epic ride, it's so hard to choose. I find joy in almost all the rides I've done. But of course, as it should be, it was the first year riding with Why We Ride.
Yeah.
Well, and it wasn't all the routes and all the days and all the moments, although I enjoyed all of it so much.
Sure.
Just felt like there were so many full circles. And so many acts of completion and just I was exactly where I needed to be doing what I needed to do. And it takes me back to that moment when I was a passenger of you should allow yourself to still, like a message of like, allow yourself to still enjoy and be happy and feel that presence and like take that with you.
Sure.
Because in grieving, there's like a lot of like, how can I be so happy?
Yeah.
How can I enjoy these experiences and feel the presence of like something I enjoy so much that I know my father enjoyed so much and everybody around me, all the people before us, just, it went really deep for me.
Yeah.
The morning after our Pismo Beach, sunset happy hour barbecue, we set off to head north. And I think our first stop was it was up in Morro Bay somewhere by the pier. Yep.
On the pier. Yeah.
We woke up to our riders meeting, our safety meeting, and our little briefing on what to expect that day. A lot of wet fog.
It was raining.
And rainy. And wet, and I did not cover my seat, whatever. I don't care, but let's learn. But about 20 minutes maybe into that first hour that we rode, we came all of a sudden, I don't remember exactly where we were, but I remember the scenery around me. And I remember it was like the fog was lifting and we were in the middle of all these foothills and greenery and there were birds flying in the air. And I'm in the middle of this lineup of all this family, all these new riders, people that rode with my dad and knew my dad and that were there the previous year when I was a passenger. And I just remember the sun was coming up behind us and the fog was lifting. The birds are flying and everything felt so perfect.
Yeah.
And I felt so much in the moment and so happy and overwhelmed, just overwhelmed in a way where I felt like I started crying in my helmet. Like,
Oh, I've done that more than once.
I mean, you can't help it.
More than
So
once.
many emotions. It was so beautiful. I
Yeah.
felt like something was just embracing me. And I'm not saying that that was my dad or his spirit, just like something about the energy that was happening. I felt an embrace and like,
Yeah.
it's okay. Keep doing this. Keep doing the things that you love.
Yeah.
You know, as risky as it is, like dare to live your life. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, I gotta open my visor and like pay attention. My mom always said, if you're ever driving and you're emotional, like pull over. And I'm like, I'm not fucking pulling over. Like, I'm gonna feel this feeling. It was incredible. And I get that feeling every now and then when I ride. It at least crosses my mind. And I think about why we ride and the people and the family and like all the people before us. And I guess if I were to label it and name it, which is not necessary, but I would call it the spirit of the ride. I think a
Yeah.
lot of riders feel it and they feel like the people before us, the trailblazers, the people that first out there riding motorcycles when it was not a cool thing to do. It was just a thing to do. Although it was cool, you know, it was, you know how the history went in society. People thought you were some big scary dude.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's the spirit of the ride. And there's so many reasons why I ride, but that is the reason. It was that stretch of road and that morning and that overwhelmed feeling. And when we stopped in Morro Bay, I was just like screaming. I was running around like smiling and screaming and jumping up and down. And they're like,
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
and I'm like, I was crying in my helmet. It felt so good. This is so awesome. We have a full day ahead. Like, get to go to the trail tomorrow. Like, I'm doing the thing. Like,
yeah.
I could just be and be happy and expressive with my motorcycle people.
Yeah.
Everybody just is so accepting.
Yeah. And not necessarily people that you knew. It's not people that I keep in touch with per se during the year. Like I talked to Brian and I talked to James and I talked to Yaffe and like a couple other people, but I don't keep in touch, but I go see them once a year and I'm like, oh, these are my people, you know?
They are. Like any good friends, you can, you know, go a while. And then you always wish like, oh, I wish we could do this more, but you go a while and you pick up where you left off. And
yeah,
it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. There's so many places to go on two wheels. It's wonderful when you can finally intersect and be together.
Yeah.
Why We Ride does that. I know I'm hyping Why We Ride a lot, but I mean, that's my story. That's my story, where it started. And I am so lucky.
Yeah, I know. They should do some sort of documentary about you.
Yeah, I want to share my story and I want to inspire people to live their lives and be happy.
Yeah.
And if like life hands you shit cards, like it's been hard, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
It's been hard, but motorcycling makes it so much easier.
Well, and what's fascinating is that, and I had somebody tell me this when I think I was a freshman in college. I was like telling him my story of woe, and it was a young lady that I was interested in that lived in my dorm, and I'm like, blah, 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 my life or whatever. She looked at me, she's like, everybody's got a story, right? Like everybody has that piece and everybody finds a way to, not everybody, a lot of people find a way to overcome.
Cope, you know.
And cope and deal. And and it's different for different people. And for me, I find it in different places. I mean, those long motorcycle trips for me, like behind the visor for hours and hours and hours, which was my job, you know, up until like a year ago, where I rode motorcycles for a living. That's what I did, you know.
Lucky, I'm sure.
Were very therapeutic. No, I mean, I'm so grateful for the time that I got to spend. I mean, I got to ride from here to California and back, I don't know how many times, and get paid for it. Like
in Fort Collins, right?
Yeah, like how lucky is that, you know?
I'm going to figure out what that's about, hopefully. I don't know about Sturgis this year. I need some some motivation and light under my butt with everything going on. But
Yeah, and I think it's
Fort Collins. I got family there.
oh well, yeah.
Albuquerque, Fort Collins, and then somewhere in between there in Sturgis.
There's ridiculous riding here. I'm just going to tell you that now. There's like
a while.
the most ridiculous riding. Yeah, we've got a basement that you can stay in. There's all sorts of
and explore along the way. I'm in no hurry.
Yep. There's some.
I want to sit back and feel that feeling I talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think there's something to say also for why we ride. Just going back to your ride for a moment is. It's kind of, for a lot of people, it's their first ride of the year, like their first real ride of the year, right? Because it's in May.
Coming right out of winter for some of the snowbirds.
Yeah, for sure. And then the combination of that and like the spring happening, right? Like when we go, and I can't ever remember the name of the road, but the road that's basically like winding and just covered in yellow flowers on both sides.
Just like all the mustard seeds.
Yeah. And you're just like
green and yellow and blue skies. Like,
yeah. And you're like, this is like, how does it get any better than this? And I think I think all those things kind of come together. That spring weather is pretty amazing in California as well. Cause you get the combination of, it's like a little bit cooler. You're on the coast in the morning and you get that perfect like sunrise, like right behind you, at times it's really a combination of things that get you, or that at least get me to that point where I'm like, I'm so lucky to be alive right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are feelings that I want to keep feeling and catching while we're in this existence and alive. And motorcycling helps you.
Yeah.
And California is just breathtaking.
For sure.
I love the coast and I love Pacific Coast Highway. And I've only been riding for just over 2 years, so I'm sure I'll have more rides to try to pick in my mind, like what's been my favorite ride? There's so many. I can't discount all the others, but it's a challenge. But this one was so cool, that first feeling.
For sure.
And that day was epic. I can't believe I did Nacimiento Ferguson. That
road is terrifying. I mean, for a guy who's been riding for 25 years, it's terrifying. It's so... I've got some great pictures of it too. Like on the way down. Yeah, of course. I'm an idiot. I'm like taking pictures as I'm riding down and I'm like, what am I doing? This is dumb.
Hardly a full lane and you have cars passing the other way, right?
Oh yeah.
Whoever's listening, do your due diligence and Google Nacimiento Ferguson Trail and see the map and how it's like, you're going up in elevation and then you come down. But once you do all that technically challenging stuff, it doesn't end at the top, but you get this incredible, like, who created the world? It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Whatever you believe, you get this moment of like this, like, opening of the coast and the mountainside, and you're like, how do I keep my eyes on the freaking road right now? Like,
totally.
So wonderful. So
yeah,
cool.
It's a phenomenal road, and it's accessible by the Pacific Coast Highway, but it's really better to do it the way we did it, right? Yeah. Which is to come from the backside. We were at the Mission. Yeah, the Mission or whatever.
Sorry, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called either.
Something was near a fort there.
Yeah. I feel like it was a fort.
They're like brushed up on my history, but
no, that's all right. That's all right. I'll put it in there so it won't. Yeah, we'll be all good. I'll put the picture of everyone in front of the Mission. Okay. People will be able to see it on YouTube. So that stretch of road, I remember distinctly coming down that and then thinking about the fact that it was your, like, kind of your maiden voyage, right? And I remember thinking, like, I came down and I don't know that I waited at the bottom, but we ended up pulling out on the PCH and then we pulled over shortly after for everybody to kind of, and I was like, yeah. And there were a few people that hadn't ridden that much before that had come down that. And I was like,
everybody was accomplished.
Oh yeah.
Like 77 of us that year, all sorts of bikes on these little twisty canyons. You don't know what's coming around the other side.
Totally.
Isn't that? Oh my God. That was so cool.
And no guardrails for anybody that's
nowhere.
Listening. Yeah, there's not a guardrail anywhere. You go
in the view.
Yeah. Yeah. But phenomenal. One of the things that I will recommend is Butler Maps. Have you ever heard of Butler motorcycle maps?
I have not, but please tell me.
Oh, so you should check them out. So they're great. They're a Colorado company. They're out of like Vail, and they make motorcycle maps a lot for adventure riders, but also for the road. And they basically they're not in every state yet, but in a lot of all the Western states for sure, they have these maps, and they map out the best rides. And that Nacimiento Ferguson is on there.
Is it?
There's a bunch of other ones, and I've ridden a bunch of the roads that they've recommended. I have never been disappointed, ever. So it's a great way to see, like, to get to, and I'll write it down for you. I'll let you
I'm
know.
like making notes on my phone.
Yeah, I'll text you about it and let you know. But I mean, it's one of the ways of like finding. But then there's also just when you go somewhere and just asking somebody like, hey man, what's the best ride around here? Like, where's a great place to ride? And people are so forthcoming with it.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
You got to go to Sturgis last year, huh?
I did get to go to Sturgis.
How was that?
Um,
It's a lot of riding, huh?
I cannot believe I was even battling. I wanted to go the year before.
Sure.
I cannot believe that I was ever even battling in my mind for that long. Should I go? Should I go? Why shouldn't I go? Can I go? Should I ride there? La, 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 like, just show up. And I'm so glad I bit the bullet. And I said, I owe it to myself. My dad always wanted to go, but I don't even need a reason to go. If I like motorcycling, I should check this out before it just continues to change and get away from how it started.
Sure.
Big like thing that people talk about now. But even so, I stayed at the Buffalo Chip, which is all the young, fun shows, concerts. Like,
Yeah.
I went with the Wild Gypsy Tour actually, and it was an all-women's camp out.
Yep.
It was such a cool way to integrate into Sturgis.
Yeah.
Such a safe space, there's somebody there always watching your bikes, and
Yeah.
it was so glamorous in like a cool way, very spoiled again. They had yurts there. Like, you could camp out on your own, but they had yurts for you to stay in. I had like 3 roommates, and it's so hot during the day, but just with a cot and a pillow and a towel, like,
very different experience than my Buffalo Chip experience a few years.
Was the camping out part. That's the camping out part of Sturgis, right? I've seen how people do the chip, and it's
I've slept in the dirt.
You do what you want. You sleep in the
totally.
dirt, buy your bike. You get an RV.
Yep.
Whatever.
Slept in an RV there. Slept in my car there. I've slept in every imaginable. Yeah.
I mean, it's such a party. So it's hard to sleep there too, because everybody's riding all the time.
Yeah, doing burnouts in the dirt in the middle of the night and
4 in the morning, no big deal.
Yeah.
Just have to go out for the day. Aside from the chip though, and aside from the Wild Gypsy Tour and how cool that was, like all the rides and locations in South Dakota, everyone talks about it. I'm sure a lot of your listeners know. Devil's Tower, Deadwood, the Biker Bells ride was incredible. I've never ridden with so many women. I don't know how many hundred there were, a couple hundred.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 1 and 200. That was a beautiful thing to experience. And then honestly, one of my favorite days of riding was when the Gypsy Tour was over. I stayed an extra day. And I just set out to do my own things on my own. It was
nice.
a beautiful thing, rather than the group rides. And now I know. I'm so glad I went and just did it the way I felt was safe and exciting and fun. So now I know I want to navigate it next year. There's so much to do and see and experience. So beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's such a fun. It got me so much momentum in the months that followed.
Yeah.
Sturgis experience and all the friends I made and all over the States. Like, really cool.
Yeah.
I got to see Snoop Dogg perform.
But the Buffalo Chip was, which is a whole nother experience.
Shout out Buffalo Chip. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. I took like the bus, one of the party buses back from Main Street.
Yeah.
And we were the last drop off, and we had some guy from a rivalry campground like, oh, you're going to the Chip? The Chip sucks. And I'm like, get the fuck off of the bus and let us go. Dude, have another drink. Like, so funny. it's like all fun and games, you know, people feud, but I do,
Yeah.
they're just better than you do. It's like, it's everybody's ride, you know?
Yeah.
It's cool. I want to go back.
You should. There's so much to
Are you
experience
going to go
there.
this year?
What's that?
You going to go this year?
I'm only 350 miles away. So if there is something going on, I can't imagine not going. I've
Yeah.
been going for since 2001, maybe,
Wow.
and I
Big,
haven't missed a year.
it's a big 80. When I was there last year, I just had this feeling like nothing's going to stop me from coming back here next year.
Hey,
And
well, there
now
you
I've
go.
been challenged, but
Yeah.
seems like I want to go on a long ride and nothing was going to stop me.
Yeah.
Only myself.
Well, and I think the thing that's interesting too is that there's so much riding to do, right? Like even if you stay in a campground, you can easily stay away from people,
Oh,
right?
sure. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think the Buffalo Chip's 600 acres or something. I mean, they're all enormous. Glencoe's a gigantic. I mean, they're all huge. I'm sure they're going to have tons of sanitation and et cetera.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think as long as people are there to go ride, I think Main Street's going to be I think that's going to be difficult to navigate. And so
Right.
it wouldn't surprise me if the city shuts it down,
Right.
but it still happens,
I
you
mean,
know?
Main Street is something worth seeing,
Oh, yeah.
but it wasn't necessarily like a highlight of it's like, here I am now at Main Street going to the bar.
It
Like,
was really something to see 20 years ago, though.
I have
I've got some sweet pictures of myself and my wife riding down Main Street, both in bandanas on a yellow chopper.
I have a photo from
Pretty
1967.
sweet.
A friend that I made out there, his name's Tommy, sent me in the mail a photo. We're like pen pals now. Met him
Yeah.
like at Black Hills Harley-Davidson. We had lunch together.
Nice.
Next to me, and he was like, you know, kindred spirit, like good friend.
Sure.
1967. This photo was taken on Main Street.
That's so cool.
So cool to see that to compare it. But
Yeah.
anyways, it's hanging.
Well, yeah. And if you go back and look at Lichter's, Mike Lichter's a good friend of mine, and just looking at his archive of photos over the years and just everything that's his city park photos from back in the day are just so epic. They're so great. I got to get him on actually and talk to him about his favorite ride, because he's done some bananas ones as well,
How do you choose?
I mean, seriously.
Get choose after 2 years of riding and not so many miles under my belt. I can't imagine. It's like, how much time do you have to listen to all?
Well,
so it's so cool. I'm so glad you did this. Like,
yeah, and it's funny too, because there's so many different facets to a ride, right? Like, I find when I'm with other people, I'll like kind of go at whatever pace, and we might stop here and there, like probably stop more often than not. And then other times, like if I'm by myself, I mean, I've ridden to California in a day, where I'm just like, it's over 1,000 miles. And I'm just like, and it wasn't even my intention.
you just had to go and kept going.
I got on a bike. I had to get it back to, I was test riding a Harley, and I had to get it back to them. And I was like, all right, we'll see. It was actually a couple of years ago when we had the eclipse. It was on the day of the eclipse. I left like way early that morning. I wrote an article about it in Cycle Source.
Wow.
Really early that morning.
Feeling that eclipse energy.
And started going. And then I was like, at one point when the eclipse was happening, there's nobody on the road. I mean, I'm the only one on the road. Yeah. So I'm just going like 100 miles an hour.
Wow.
And I'm like, there's no way I'm stopping. Like I got to Vegas and it was like, like 5 o'clock or something. And I'm like, oh no, I'm driving all the way to LA tonight. There's no way that I'm not.
Right.
And of course, 2 hours outside of LA, I'm like in Riverside or something. And I'm like, oh, I should have stopped. I'm like, that was a long time. But I mean, up until that point, I was like, it was like a spiritual experience. That's the only way that I can kind of describe it, because it was just I didn't stop to eat. I mean, I had some food with me, but I just stopped and put gas in, drank water, would eat, like I had like a can of soup or something with me. I don't even remember what it was. And I was just like, going.
You're just so in the moment. It's amazing what happens and how much your drive and passion for life, especially on a motorcycle, like how little you really need to have that drive.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Uh-huh.
It's so crazy that people, to me, I'm not there yet. This is why that people strive to do an iron butt challenge and ride 1,000 miles in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like, I think this was created because some people just had that drive to just want to go and not stop.
Yeah. And
notoriety or anything, just is so cool though. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I even,
you know?
yeah, I even filled out like the like all the paperwork and stuff. And I was like, I don't care. Like, what am I going to do with that? I'm not going to put it on my jacket or anything. Like, like,
how do you know your butt is made out of iron?
yeah, like, I don't know. And, it's just not.
Right. But
And figuring out how to do yoga on the motorcycle, that's really important when you're going 1,000 miles for sure.
As you're moving.
Yeah. I'm serious. I'm like doing like cat cow, like so many times, like over and over. I do like all these different things to just like keep
like stretching forward and like leaning on the tank on a long ride or like
totally. Yep.
My abs tight and like stretching.
Yep. Exactly.
Like it's like going on a hike. You got to change your pace every now and then.
It's true. It's true.
You know, I've seen people do yoga on their motorcycles, like stationary. And I'm like,
no, it's not for me. I mean, it's cool. That's awesome, but I'm not.
Like it would be so hard to keep your alignment.
Yeah. Yeah. That. And it's just, it's not my thing.
World, right. Mindset from yoga on bike is cool, but it's like,
oh yeah,
it's funny to me.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But cool, man.
So who knows what the next adventure is, right? I mean, it's so hard to say, right? I mean, I have no idea what mine is. My bike's, I haven't gotten it running
I know what they are, but anytime I'm so certain of something, it doesn't quite pan out the way I think it's going to be. And so,
are you superstitious? Like you don't even want to say it out loud? Like it's like a...
I can tell people what I want and where I want to go. I want to go to Sturgis. I want to get on the bike and go across the country. I want to, I don't know all the details and how and why, and I'm not too stuck on them, but
yeah,
I want a few things in life. I want to go.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome.
Not different. It's just, a lot of us had a lot of plans until.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Started 2020, and so it's different now. So it's hard.
So I just set your plan for you. Here's your route. So you leave California and then you go through Phoenix, Nevada and all the things in Utah. And then you come up through Southern Colorado. You go through Durango, you do the $1 Million Highway, which everybody has to do. On episode 141, I believe my friend Ryan Boyd talks about $1 Million Highway. So, and it is epic. So Durango, and then you make your way up to Fort Collins. You and I ride to Sturgis together, right? We get a bunch of Litas and some of my friends, and we all ride up there.
Yeah.
Then you go from there, you ride out to Laconia, because Laconia is like the week after Sturgis this year because they rescheduled it.
Okay.
Then you stay in New Hampshire, and then you go down to the Indian Larry block party in Brooklyn, September 1st. You don't work or anything, right? Like you got plenty of time and just money coming out your ears, so you should be fine.
That's not what I'm working towards, but I can work remotely. It's really awesome.
And you go to the Indian Larry block party and you experience that whole thing, which is like a thing unto itself, because Bobby and Elisa put on a party like nobody else, and it's amazing. And then you figure out how to make your way back to California leisurely. Yeah. There you go.
That's a lot further than I had in mind. Why not? I figured once I'm in South Dakota, I have to stop in Minnesota for a while. I have a love in Minneapolis, so far away. But once I'm there, I know I'm probably likely going to be like, I'm almost on the east side already. But
yeah.
I've already gone this far. I think
you're like a third of the way there. Yeah.
Depending on the route you want to take, yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about what's your next endeavor? You're launching a new website. You've got some fun stuff happening, right? Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I can talk a little about it.
Yeah, talk about it.
I'll pitch in about it. It's
Yeah.
new to talk about it for me because over the past couple of years, since I got into motorcycling in the community, I really got involved in photography.
Yeah.
And there's no questioning why and why so many people in our community do that, because it's such a scenic, beautiful world. On
Yeah.
wheels with so many incredible talents and passions that intersect that I just wanted to get more involved and
Yeah.
document it. And we all live needing to share a lot of our lives and experiences and getting people inspired to get out and show up to these events or ride or so on. And I was just sitting on a bunch of, data and cards of and files of photos that I had edited and I wasn't sharing. And I wanted to make, about a year ago, I started this. I wanted to make a website and a place to showcase my work.
Cool.
And also, I made it a place to showcase my involvement in the moto community. And along with that, just kind of a few different influences in one place that takes you off of like Instagram,
Sure.
like my own special like cyber, virtual playground that I can have for myself to
Yeah.
reach out to people and let them know I put a lot of work into this. I have helped a few people make create content, or make PDF proposals and pitch decks so that they can gain sponsorship in the community.
Mm-hmm.
One of which, gained sponsorship for the motorcycle show
Cool.
from a big name brand. Another one has been able to gain sponsorship from different brands and also land a movie documentary.
Nice.
And so me helping people put their image out there and follow their dreams, like,
Yeah.
fuels my soul. It makes me so happy.
That's great.
So that's kind of the direction I'm going in. I've worked on it for a year, and with this whole pandemic and all this time on my hands, I was like, why am I hiding?
Yeah.
Why am I not using these tools that I can use to let people know what I do? I felt like such a mystery for a while.
Sure.
As much as I have my struggles with social media and some of the negativity that follows with it. And, you could create whatever world you want and share whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like, why not just be more transparent and open to collaborating with people and finding a way to network, especially during this time?
Yeah.
Why have I been so mild and sitting back? Like, I actually care about my friends and people and life experiences and making shit happen.
Yeah.
So, that can take me in so many directions as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Being a guy who's been in the motorcycle industry for probably, I don't know, 20 years or something like that. The one piece of advice that I will give you, which you seem to have no problem with, is if you do what you say you're going to do, you're ahead of the curve by 75%.
When you say you're going to do it. I always say it all the time. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. And if that changes, let people know.
Yep.
Those are my, requirements for, people in my life and friendships.
It's,
just be honest,
Be impeccable with your word.
Thank you. Thank you for your advice, because I'm like a little baby entrepreneur now or something, if you want to label it.
No, that's awesome. I'm so excited for people getting in the industry and, figuring out where their lane, where their lane is amongst our people. I have been in the motorcycle industry mostly, but there are times where it's real hard. And I'm like, I want to jettison and do something easy. I've had so many of my friends who are not in the motorcycle industry anymore. They're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, go get a corporate job. Like, I'm making so much money right now. Like, what do you do? And I'm like, you were never in the motorcycle industry for the right reasons anyways,
Exactly. It's not all about the money. It's about the experiences. And if you can...
it's definitely not about the money.
Right. For real.
Yeah.
But if you can get paid while you're doing it, then that's...
it's great. Yeah.
Know your worth and, I'm glad you're on the same page and you understand. And
I think it's so great.
To share that. I haven't verbalized it, vocalized it. It's all been social media posts. So it's great. I'm excited.
Good job.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to share it tomorrow at noon. Although by the time this is listened to, it'll be up. It's somethingmore.biz.
And is it Moore?
The play on my last name, so it's
Yeah.
something Moore dot biz, like
Cool.
business.
Yeah. Yeah. This
Yeah.
isn't my personal, it's my business. That's
Yeah,
right.
in my business. Yeah. So
And if people wanted to see a little more about you, they could go to your Instagram, right?
more.
Yeah.
Such a fun last name, and it's gonna get so outplayed, but I'm so fine. I'll get used
Yeah.
to it. I started it, so this is really good. Online, my Instagram is sam.ray.m.
Cool.
Have to read more. Sam Ray M.
Awesome.
Let's be friends.
Yeah.
Let's watch each other do awesome shit with their lives.
Yeah. For
Even though
sure.
we're limited right now, there's still so much to be grateful for and to enjoy. And
True. Yeah. And
you can connect on these things that I struggle with, but let's do it.
yeah.
Why not?
Well, and I think there's tons of motorcycle content that needs to be created out there. A lot of people want to focus on their business. They don't necessarily have the acumen to be able to go in there and create content and do the things that need to be done. They need to run their business. And so that's where I think, people like yourself kind of come into play.
Need somebody to see a bigger picture and how to get there and how to really be vulnerable. And they need a little nudge into the deep end to just know that they know how to swim.
Yeah, for sure.
So, it all sounds really cliche. I think it's kind of
No, it's so great. It's so great. It's a great attitude and a great way of looking at it. Well, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your friendship.
Thank you.
Been, just a couple of years, mostly riding motorcycles. That's where we've spent the majority of our time. The occasional, hey, thanks for saying that. But yeah, for the most part, just riding side by side. So I appreciate that, and you being you and putting it out there. So
likewise. I think it's so cool what you're doing, and I can't wait to hear more of your podcasts and everybody else's stories of their favorite rides. Just, it's going to make me really want to get out there and do that route you just gave me. I've been gone for a while, but I can keep connected still.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, it's cool that we have these tools.
Oh, for sure.
And motorcycles.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Thank you so much, Ken.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you for giving me this space to do this.
Of course. Awesome. All right.
In touch.
I'll talk to you soon.
Right on.
All right. See you.
Bye.
Bye.